and lead convener, Movement of Alliance to Resist China's Aggression, or MARCHA. As such, he is among the vanguard in the citizens' movement to fight for our sovereign rights in our exclusive economic zone in the face of China's incursions and illegal presence in the West Philippine Sea. Okay, he is a founder of Dika Pasisiil movement and one of the 3 lead conveners, again, of the West Philippine Sea Coalition. He has a Master of Business Administration, MBA, at the University of the Philippines, where he graduated class valedictorian. Masyadong heavy yung ating speaker, masyadong yung qualification. He is also a graduate of BS, major in Mathematics and Operations Analysis, 2 majors achieved through overloads, United States of Naval Academy at Annapolis, USA. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to call on stage our luncheon speaker to discuss an interesting topic, emerging crisis in the Southeast Asia. Again, let's put our hands together. Honorable Roylo S. Goles.
Thank you very much, Mai. Thank you for the very kind introduction. It is my pleasure and honor to be here before you to talk about something that may be a little out of your main area of interest. But I assure you, this matter should be of interest to everybody because it will affect our security, our future, our environment. But first of all, I'd like to thank the chairman of the PICPA Metro Manila region, Madam Irene, for making me a part of this program, which is about tax forum. I know a little about tax, having served as an active member of the Committee on Ways and Means for several years in the House of Representatives. But I assure you that when you listen to my presentation, you probably find this more taxing than your previous topics, taxing and irritating. The topic is emerging crisis in the South China Sea. And this is the South China Sea. Just to clarify, because some people get confused, they say, how come you're still using the South China Sea? Haven't we changed that already to West Philippine Sea? No. West Philippine Sea is that part of the South China Sea that we own. Basically our exclusive economic zone here, and part of the Kalayaan Island Group here. The South China Sea is the bigger sea, which is bound by China to the north, Vietnam, Malaysia, and then Brunei and the Philippines. So now that we can become more geographically accurate, and to give you a glimpse of who are the occupants in the various features in the South China Sea. When I say features, these are islets, islands, atolls, reefs, shoals. You can see from the flag who are the occupants. There are several occupied by the Philippines, many occupied by Vietnam and Malaysia. Now, my personal involvement in the South China Sea or Spratlys issue goes back a long way. This was started in 1971 in the Spratlys. I was then a new graduate of the Naval Academy and was part of a secret mission that landed, this was about maybe 20, 30 pounds ago, that landed troops supplies, and other things. And that's another picture. Now, the first major move of China, and since we are focusing on China here, into the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone happened in 1994, when they started constructing what they called temporary shelters. This was how it looked. It really looked temporary. And when we protested, because this was way inside our exclusive economic zone, only about 120 nautical miles from Palawan, they said, don't worry about it, it's temporary, it is for our fishermen, so don't worry about it. So the things quieted down. But in 1999, together with a congressman from the United States, we heard about structures, permanent structures being built. So we took a Philippine Air Force C-130 and flew over Mischief Reef at just about 500 feet, and I saw with my own eyes frenetic activities going on there, a lot of welding, indicating that permanent structures were being built. And true enough, this was the outcome. This was the original, and now this is the new structure, and this building looks like a municipio in some small towns. And right then and there, I stood up in the halls of Congress and delivered a privileged speech, and I warned that the ultimate target of China was not just Mischief Reef, but Scarborough Shoal, which is a much bigger feature and much closer to the central part of the Philippines, Scarborough Shoal. This was in 1999. And during that time, some people did not believe me. They called me an alarmist. But what happened in just 12 years, 13 years, they grabbed Scarborough Shoal. But when we're talking about Scarborough Shoal, small rocks, some people ask the question, why fight over small rocks? Bakit ba pag-aawayan ito? Pwede ba pag-usapan na lang ito? Malilit na bagay yan. But you know, in the military and security, even very small things, and the real estate people are probably more familiar with this, can become very strategic and it can become very important in warfare and in geopolitics, because the potential force of a territory is not necessarily proportionate to the size of the territory. It is the strategic location. And I would like to go back to the Second World War, when the Pacific War was won, when the Allied forces jumped from one little island, one little shoal, one little reef into another, all the way to the Philippines and all the way to mainland Japan. And then we cannot dismiss Scarborough Shoal as small, because if you look at Scarborough Shoal, the lagoon inside Scarborough Shoal, this lagoon here, is about 150 square kilometers, almost the size of Quezon City. So you can imagine what you can put inside that small place. And in fact, in the Second World War, there's a place called Ulithi, about 1,000 nautical miles from Leyte, and this was used as a base, as a naval base, by Admiral Halsey on the eve of their invasion of Leyte. And this was how Ulithi looked like. Very small, but you can imagine, you can see how many aircraft carriers, battleships, transport ships, destroyers were placed inside Ulithi. This is how usable a small piece of property in the middle of the ocean can be, depending on the user. So that's Ulithi, that's Bajo de Masinloc, or Scarborough Shoal. China grabbed Scarborough Shoal in April 2012, after a face-off there. And if you look at Scarborough Shoal, here's Scarborough Shoal, about 130 nautical miles. It is like a dagger pointed at vital installations of the Philippines, particularly in Luzon. It's very close to Clark, very close to Subic, very close to Metro Manila. And if it is used for military purposes, it can be a big threat to the Philippines. And I have no doubt that that is the long-term plan of China. Now what's happening in Scarborough Shoal now? It is a traditional fishing ground for hundreds, maybe thousands of fishermen who have been fishing there for hundreds of years. And here's a video of Scarborough Shoal, what the Chinese Coast Guard are doing to our Filipino fishermen there, provided by Japanese television.
一方こちらは FNN が独自入手した映像です。南シナ海のスカモロー礁で今年4月、中国当局の船がフィリピンの漁船団に高圧放水を執拗に浴びせ、船体や漁の道具などを破壊する様子が映されています。中国側による威嚇行為がエスカレートする。
So you can see what these big Coast Guard ships with their water cannons are doing to the very frail fishing boats of Filipinos there. And I understand from the report that they gave us that some have been killed already when they were attacked by water cannons, capsizing their boats. Now, what's happening there? What is the ultimate target? You know, I attended a strategic meeting in January this year in Japan, where several strategists convened, and we made the conclusion that what China is doing is to form a strategic triangle in the middle of the South China Sea. This is the South China Sea. The first point of the triangle is already existing. This is in the Paracels. They control the Paracels. They grab that from Vietnam. They have a runway in Woody Island, and they have some kind of a capital there already. The second point would be the ongoing reclamations. We are all familiar now with the reclamations. This is Johnson Reef, Pirate Cross Reef, Subi Reef, and other places. I'll be talking about that in more detail later. And then eventually, the third point will be Scarborough Shoal. If they succeed in doing this, they will have full control of the South China Sea. And that will be a big headache, not only to the Philippines, Vietnam, but to our allies in the area, particularly the United States and Japan. Reclamations. The reclamation started about 2013, but look how fast they've been moving there. If you're familiar with the Manila Bay Reclamation Project, that had been ongoing since the 80s, and until now it's not yet completed. But here, they have reclamation projects in several places in the South China Sea, and one of them, which is Mississippi, is inside our exclusive economic zone. I'll show you what they're doing there and how fast they've been moving. For example, Johnson South Reef. Johnson South Reef, this was February 2013. In just 1 year, from a small dot, they're able to reclaim such a big area, and this is the existing structure there now in Johnson South Reef. This is Hughes Reef, underwater before 2013, in about a little over 1 year. Now it is almost a complete structure. This is Quarteron Reef, basically underwater, submerged. Now they have a big structure there. Gaven Reef, basically the same thing. Now, Pirate Cross Reef. This is the one that has attracted the most attention because look at the structure they have. It used to be almost underwater. This is the original structure, but now, this is in just about 1 year only, this is Pirate Cross Reef complete with a 3,000-meter runway, which is just a little shorter than the runway that we have in Naiya. And this is Subi Reef. Subi Reef is very close to our Pag-asa Island. You know that picture that I showed you with me a little younger? That's in Pag-asa Island. It used to be fully underwater, but look how much they have reclaimed in Subi Reef. And this is a picture of Subi from Pag-asa. You can see almost all the cranes being used by the Chinese. They are within seeing distance from our Pag-asa Island. So this, when completed, is going to be a big threat also to our territory in the Calayan Island Group. And this Mississippi Reef inside our exclusive economic zone, fully underwater, with just a small dot here. Now they have a complete structure there, and they intend to have a 3,000-meter runway there also. So they'll have in Subi, they have in Pirate Cross, and then Mississippi Reef for the runway. What will happen once they complete the structures there? What will happen is that they will have good control of the South China Sea. They can deploy practically all their military aircraft there, fighters, bombers, UAVs, transport planes. And then they can expand and extend the operational reach to about 2,000 kilometers.